You're given the choice of one of these guitars. On the left, the Les Paul, a single-cut, solid-body chunk of mahogany and beautiful maple top, generally weighing between 8 and 10 pounds. On the right, the SG. Derived directly from the Les Paul, it's a double-cut, solid guitar made from mahogany with no maple cap, but a thinner body and neck, so it weighs less. What do you choose? Les Paul or SG?
That question seemingly haunts the minds of most guitar players, specifically Gibson and Epiphone fans. I've owned numerous versions of both of these guitars and played many more than that, and while my heart always comes back to the Les Paul, there's just something really cool about an SG that keeps me second guessing myself. Now obviously you don't have to pick one or the other. If you have the means to have both, then do so. They carry vastly different feels in their playability, and that's kind of what I want to delve into in this video. My hope here is to help anybody out there really struggling with this issue. And yes, deciding which guitar to buy is an issue. If you know, you know. So let's take a look at a few things that differ themselves from each other. And by the way, these are just my opinions. First off, the looks. Les Pauls generally are the flashier of the two guitars, and that's because they look right. A beautiful flame maple top like this one here. Yes, I'm aware that it's a veneer, but it still looks really pretty. Looks great on this shape and in practically any color. Now, while that is subjective, again, these are just my opinions, you can't deny that a blinged out Les Paul is very eye-catching. While on the other hand, the SG is usually pretty plain. But again, in my opinion, as it should be. Now there are some nice flame maple tops on a lot of SGs between both ranges in both Gibson and Epiphone. Take a look at the modern range from either brand. They both have great tops on them. But much like there are some really nice looking flame maple top SGs, there are some really nice plain top Les Pauls. But to me, the SG has always looked kind of strange if it's not the iconic cherry red. Ebony may get a pass here and there because everything kind of looks good in a black color, but I mean, come on. It's iconic in its simplicity. At the end of the day, looks are subjective. You like what you like, no one can take that away from you. All I'm saying is, do you really think that this top in this color would look as good on the SG as it does on this Les Paul? I don't think so. Next, the necks. Try saying that 3 times fast. The necks can and will be different on practically every guitar. Obviously from brand to brand or from model to model, you may have some consistencies, but generally it's why I and a lot of people recommend that before you buy anything, you go out and try them. Seeing as how the neck is where all the action happens, you want it to be comfortable to play. You have different models, ranges, series, whatever you want to call it, with both the Les Paul and the SG. Take the modern series, for example. They generally have thinner necks, flatter fingerboard radiuses, more frets sometimes. They're geared towards faster players. But you also have more traditional necks. The 60 slim taper neck comes to mind, like on my Gibson SG Standard 61. It's a round, not so chunky profile. They can or can't be wide, but I think that really depends on the year of Gibson that you buy. You'll find this neck on both the SGs and the Les Pauls more predominantly, I think, on the SGs. I will say this, the slim taper neck on the Epiphone and the Gibson are not the same. I much prefer the slim taper neck on the Gibson because it has less harsh shoulders on it. But again, that's something I've covered in a previous video, and you should just go out and try both yourself to see what I mean. Then you have my favorite kind of neck, like on my Les Paul here. This is a 50s standard, so it's got the big, thick, chunky baseball bat neck. If you haven't tried one of these necks, I highly recommend you do so. It could be something that you like. But aside from that, you don't want to get a guitar with too big of a neck. Again, these can appear on SGs, but it's very few and far between that I've found that you'll find a chunky neck on an SG. I think a lot of the 70s ones had chunky necks. Don't quote me on that. But generally speaking, you're gonna find the big chunky neck on Les Pauls. So as you can see, they vary greatly. Like I said, you can find some SGs with big chunky necks. You're also gonna find Les Pauls with very slim necks. Again, go out and try multiple necks and see what fits your hand best. You may just surprise yourself. Working downwards, we have the body shape. Obviously, the biggest difference straight away is the body shape, and probably why you've watched the video this far. And if you have, please make sure you subscribe and do all the YouTube stuff. Check links in the description if you want one of these cool shirts. The body differences are radical, to say the least.
It's radical!
But you get so much from each. It's kind of crazy how similar they are. We'll start with the Les Paul. The Les Paul, it's a thick boy. It's got a maple cap on it, resonates for days, and it's heavy, which is generally the biggest complaint when people look at Les Pauls, and is usually a big deciding factor when looking between Les Pauls and SGs. You got binding, you have a removable pickguard that only leaves 2 screws as opposed to multiple screws all over the body. Your pickup selector switch is up here, your output jack is down here. On the other hand, with the SG, it's light. Still a solid body, but it's much lighter. It's a much thinner body, may not resonate as much, but it will still hold notes for a pretty long time. You have 2 volume, 2-tone, 3-way switch, just obviously the switch is in a different position, which some people seem to like. And then you have the output jack right here on the front of the body. Why? One of the biggest points of contingency on an SG is the placement of the output jack. You still get the same electronics in both of these guitars, 2 humbucker pickups, 2 volume, 2-tone, 3-way switch, all that kind of stuff. You really have to make this decision here. You like the heaviness and the better jack placement, or you like the lightness and the terrible jack placement. And even with all that, when you step back and just look at the pieces of both of these guitars, you're gonna find a lot of similarities in it. Like I said, 2 pickups, same controls, all that kind of stuff. And I think it's these juxtaposing facts that kind of polarize people when it comes to deciding which one of these to buy. For me, I like Les Pauls because I actually like my guitars to be really heavy. This one probably weighs about 9 pounds. I love that. It looks great, sits great on my lap, love the shape. A Les Paul's never really let me down. But the SG, man, just look at it. So, with all that in mind, which do I choose? Which should you choose? I think the answer is simple.
¿Por qué no las dos?
Hey, thank you so much for making it to the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, click my logo somewhere on the screen. That'll help you get subscribed to the channel if you're not already. If you want to check out some of my other videos, there should be some boxes coming up right over here somewhere. You can click one of those. It'll take you right to it. And if you want to support the channel in any other way besides just subscribing, check the link in the description of any of my videos for my Teespring store. You can pick up a shirt, hoodie, sticker, whatever tickles your fancy. And until next time, guys, I'll see you in the next video.